Gambling Podcast Week 3 preview picks and DFS episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks, brought to you by Shady Rays. Yes, Shady Rays is having their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com, but use that promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. And don't forget to go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/shady to enter the Shady Rays Parlay of the Day contest. We're also brought to you by SGPN's Draft Week. Yes, the NFL Draft all week long. SGPN has you covered with draft props, mock drafts, which I'll be a part of, and our live NFL Draft, which I'll also be a part of, our NFL Live Draft watch party. So make sure to smash the subscribe button at youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast.
Hey, this is Eric Metcalf. You're listening to SGPN.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. This is America, Jack. You know how to play Buenos Aires football? I don't get it.
Being played in the United States Football League.
Touchdown! Oh my God! Quarterback is a toast.
We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is a great deal more successful when you do play as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL.
America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television.
That is football.
I'm like, spring football is going to work in America.
You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
Boom! And we are back on the USFL Gambling Podcast, Week 3 preview and picks edition, and DFS. Don't forget, we have given out first place in all of DFS lineups before. Look, I know NC Nick is normally with us. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/USFL Gambling Podcast, he is on a flight, so he could not be on this one, but he'll be back. So, look, if you're wondering who the hell I am, you're like, who's this guy yelling at me? Well, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink, and I don't have stress, and I'm healthy.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Another week of the United States Football League. What's not to like? Shout out to the chat. The chat is rolling along. Once again, hop on over to YouTube. Watch this thing. We got Judge Dredd saying this is the best intro in all of podcasting. And we'll take that all day. Even though he says he just missed the Men at Work song. But shout out. Yeah. They sued.
Better times.
I don't got any money. I had to just send them a T-shirt. All right.
How about we record our own? We need
Yes.
Colby D.
Yes.
Singing.
I can do
Men
that.
at
I
Work here.
certainly do that. And if you're wondering who that voice is, give it up for my co-host, former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh! Up. Give it to me. Give it.
First down, and yes, I am. This episode on the fly had the studio's being occupied. I also we could have recorded at a different time, but I'm busy as shit right now. But I got a comedy show I'm running down, so we're all over the place here. So we're doing it from remote. So not in the studio. We'll be back in the studio in a few weeks because I'm going to be out of the country soon. But, buddy, here we have
Globetrotting,
buddy. And look, now we got week 3 upon us. And I was making the case on the SGP show this morning with Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer. I'm like, this league, really kind of has, I think for sure, 4 good teams, but New Orleans is 2-0, and I'm not including them. So there might be a chance that we have 5 good teams, which when I compare that, I host the XFL Gambling Podcast. I hope that league succeeds. But I only really see 2 good teams over there in the XFL, right? And that is Seattle and DC. So I think in last year we only had 3 good teams. And maybe you could talk me into New Orleans as a 4th in the USFL. But this year,
I know that you are a lover of parity, but some people prefer, a top-heavy league. So it might be a matter of preference there. But do you think the quality of play is actually better than in the USFL at this point? When you say good teams, do you mean like the top of the league is actually good, or do you mean there's parity at the top?
Well, I don't know, because Birmingham looks pretty fucking dominant. But I will say, yeah, I think the teams among the top in the USFL are a lot better than the teams among the top in the XFL. And I think that's not only me. I feel like most people that I've talked to that, whether it's our guy Adam Pelletier, J Mark, that really study a lot of spring football, and I love the XFL. I hope it works out. I want it to work out, but I really only see two good teams. I kind of think Houston's terrible. I kind of think Arlington's terrible. And I don't even think St. Louis is that good. And they're 2 of those 3 are in the playoffs. Whereas in this league, I really believe the Birmingham Stallions are really good, right? I think Birmingham could probably destroy any team in either league. But
that's kind of the question. Maybe there's less parity because maybe Birmingham is just that dominant.
Probably. But I'll say this, the line of scrimmage with New Jersey, Birmingham, Michigan coming on, which I did not see coming when previewing this season. And then we know that Philadelphia has been pretty good, especially pass blocking. But the line of scrimmage stands out to me. But, you have some shitty teams in both. But, yeah, that's the one thing I think that – and the rushing stats back me up on that. So there's that. But let's just hop into another good week, because we once again have XFL and USFL going on. Only 2 games in the XFL this week, but we got 4 USFL games. I'm super excited for it. I think if you're a USFL fan like us, they probably got it wrong as far as which games on what channel. Because let's just hop right into it. But before I hop into it, I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Shady Rays Parlay of the Day contest. Yes, we're running a special Parlay of the Day contest for people who've, bought their shades from ShadyRays.com, and the ones that use the promo code SGPN. Each day of the NFL Draft, the Sports Gambling Podcast will release a Shady Rays Parlay of the Day, and if that parlay hits, the cash will be awarded to one lucky listener each day. Go to ShadyRays.com/shady to get start getting shady, essentially. Look, but we're also brought to you by Shady Rays, because they're our friends over at Shady Rays, and look, they have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much, much more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers truly a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair you've ever worn. They got the durable frames. They got the extremely clear optics for all those outdoor adventures you like to go on. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. So if you're out there, I've been to Memphis, Tennessee a lot of times. Let's say you're down there at the Liberty Bowl, have a few too many cocktails, and next thing you know, you find yourself in an all-out brawl on Beale Street, and you're wearing your sunglasses, and you get punched in the face, and those things break. Well, guess what? You go to Shady Rays, you say, hey, these are my broken sunglasses. They're not even going to ask you what the hell happened. They're just going to give you a new one. Boom. Now, what a great deal. They have your back long after your purchase, so you can wear your Shady Rays with complete confidence. And look, you can not only look good, but you can feel good too, because to date, they have donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. And right now, exclusive for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the year. Go to ShadyRays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. All
I'll
right.
tell you what, if you're not getting punched in the face occasionally, you're not doing it right in life, right?
Yeah.
You got to be talking enough trash in life, right? You're not doing it right as a fan. I'll say that much. I say at least every couple seasons, if not most weeks of any given season, you should be scrapping,
I was explaining to my mother this morning that the last time, or not the last time, but one time in New York City, she was like asking had I been in New York City. I'd been a bunch of times, but she didn't remember. And I was explaining to her the gigantic bar fight that I was a part of. And it feels good to get punched in the face every once in a while because that's the spirit of football, baby. All right. Now look at this lineup we have here. We have Saturday morning. On USA Network. So you got to get over there, watch your hopefully they're still running Baywatch. I don't fucking know. CSI, New Orleans. I don't even know. There's so many cities.
Questionable programming decision here for sure.
Clearly, you got to put Baywatch on. I mean, there's a reason why that was the most famous show, in television history for a long time.
Yeah, bouncing boobs is always a winner. You know?
And I don't think that 2023 is ready for that.
Yeah, I just got canceled. USFL gambling podcast just got canceled from talking about Pam Anderson's bouncing boobs.
Yeah, and sparked the career of a lot of great actresses in my mind. You know what I mean? Anyway, here we are, Saturday morning, USA Network. The New Orleans Breakers are at the Birmingham Stallions. Now, to me, if it was me in charge of the United States Football League, I love fullbacks and I love Moose Johnson. But if it was me, we would put the Showboats Gamblers on at this time because that game's going to suck ass. And this game is actually a pretty good game. Breakers 2-0, Stallions 2-0, and probably 150,000 people will watch this one because the USA Network doesn't really pop when you're turning on the old television. However, the Stallions are laying 6. The over-under's at 48.5. The Breakers are plus 200 on the money line. Patty C, what are you doing here in Birmingham? I can tell you, me, personally, I'm laying it. McLeod Bethel Thompson, oldest quarterback in the USFL.
Maybe in USFL history at this point, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I think back in 83 or 84, you might have a couple guys.
Yeah.
But
6 was the number you said?
6, but I still think I got to lay it because Bo Scarborough, I think, is going to be healthy. There's a chance that Scooby Wright's healthy. And New Orleans, although 2-0, they haven't looked amazing to me. Meanwhile, Birmingham's coming off a 40-point win, and then the game before that, they beat the Generals, who might be the second-best team in the league. I'm laying the 6, and at 48.5, oh, boy, I'm actually going to go under. I think the Breakers defense might be able to hang it a little bit, but I don't like the over-under much.
Well, they've only given up 12 points total in 2 games to New Jersey and Memphis. So assuming they maintain that somewhere in the 6 point per game range, then they'd have to get 42 themselves. Obviously, that's what they achieved last week, but I don't think they're going to do it against New Orleans necessarily. Then again, I think New Orleans will probably get off a little more than New Jersey and Memphis because their offense has been decent. But still, 48 is a decently high number. I mean, Vegas seems like it's
48.5 too. So you got to get to that 49 mark. If you're at flat 48 and you're on the over, you're losing your money. So
how has New Orleans' defense been? They're two defensive
terrible offenses though. So I can't trust their numbers.
Their defense gave up 31 points to Houston and
that's
15 to Pittsburgh, but neither of those were offensive touchdowns. I don't know. Their defense isn't great. And they're, like you said, they're playing terrible offenses. What do you make of that?
Actually, you kind of swayed me. Give me the over. I think you swayed me because I'm like, man, if they gave up 31 to Houston's a terrible offense.
Oh, Kenji. Yeah, they're not good. Did Bahar have 3 picks last week? And they still managed 31 points. Yeah. New Orleans might not have a very good defense, but and Birmingham has a decent offense. The Scarborough coming back was news to me, so that actually impacts my DFS lineup.
And that's not official. Just the fact that he was a like kind of a late scratch a week ago
makes you think he'd be back.
Yeah, makes me think. But I thought that with Trey Williams with the Generals, and he didn't play last week, and we'll see about this week. But I still feel good about laying the 6. I mean, I think Birmingham's a notch above, and they're at home. This is a Birmingham crowd.
Yeah, dude, their wins are by 17 and 40 points respectively. I think you lay the 6 with whoever they play at this point.
And I think you swayed me. If I had to go over, I'm not going to bet the over under, but I think I lean over actually now.
Yeah, it's close. 48.5 is close. I'll roll with you. I'll take the over.
So that's the early morning game, which I'm going to be happy to watch, but I feel like your average American's not even going to see it on the fucking television. They're going to see this one later at night, the Memphis Showboats, who are technically at the Houston Gamblers, but you got to remember this is in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Liberty Bowl. Not much of a road game for the Showboats. So I was a bit surprised when I saw the Houston Gamblers were a 3-point favorite. So, home crowd, you just lost the game by 40 the week before. You looked all right. 2 NFL coaches who I don't trust. Give me the home team. I think Memphis is a live dog here, and I think they're going to want to get Memphis a win at home with the crowd. You know, how do you get a new city excited? They got to start winning a game or two. They can't be losing by 40 every week. Give me Memphis +3. Ride the money line here because, oh, and by the way, let me just announce it. They're +130 on the money line. The over-under's at 44. What are you doing here, Patty C?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on how good we really think New Orleans offense is, because that Houston getting lit up by New Orleans last week is enough to scare me away from what would be a Houston lean. Memphis, what were they week 1?
They almost beat the Stars.
Yeah, they were competitive week 1, 4-point loss, 27-23. Obviously week 2 wasn't quite as good. And they're favored by 3, or no, they're getting 3.
Gamblers are.
Yeah, Gamblers are favored by 3. I think that's spot on too. I think that's hard to pick.
I think it should be the other way around. I think the home team and the offense that's proven more this year to me is the Showboats.
Houston did get whooped by Michigan, but Michigan is looking pretty good through 2 weeks of football. Maybe it's just bias. Maybe there's not a whole lot behind my analysis here, but I want to lean Houston. I feel like the talents there. TJ Pledger kind of getting off in the running game, 135 yards through 2 games.
You got to wonder if Mark Thompson comes back, though. Will Pledger even get the start?
Well, either way, if Thompson comes back, then that's even better. Because wasn't he the league leading rusher last year?
He was among the tops.
Among the top. Yeah, I'm forgetting who.
He got injured a little bit last year too, but I just can't take Houston. I think I know Memphis just lost by 40. They need to win at home. They have the edge.
Well, buddy, agree to disagree.
What are you doing on the total?
What was the number again?
44.
44. I mean, I don't trust Memphis to put up big points. 23 against Philly was impressive, but two against Birmingham left something to be desired. Then again, Houston's defense is nothing special.
I'm taking the over.
You're taking the over?
Taking the over.
Yeah, I feel like both of these teams are a little more offensive minded, so I'll roll over with you.
I feel better about this over under than the previous game.
But you said 44, so 22 each, thereabouts. It's close.
I think there's an opportunity for some pick sixes. Carnell Lake's defense was the only team to score, the only part of the Showboats that scored a week ago. I think they'll get it going.
Well, what makes this a little more easier as we go is it's not so nip tuck with like these over unders, because every team isn't scoring 13. Every game isn't 13-10. You can start to see these offenses like develop and explode, and then you can say, okay, now I can compare this a little more easily, and there's a bigger point spread to judge from. Even still, 44 is not a huge number, so it's a little iffy, but I'll take the over. I agree with you.
Yeah, I like that total a lot. Those are the Saturday games. We will get to the Sunday games. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, the NBA and NHL playoffs are here. And what better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides the daily NHL, MLB, and NBA games, they've also got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Plus, they have USFL games. You can play USFL action over there. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by the NFL Draft Props Contest. Yeah. I mean, this is fantastic here. Part of Sports Gambling Podcast Draft Week, NFL Draft Week, is the SGPN's holding a free NFL Draft Props Contest exclusively for our members on Discord. Yes, it's completely free to join, and the winner gets $250 in cash and a $50 SGPN gift card. So just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord, which you should already be there to talk USFL or XFL or any type of college football, NFL. We have every single sport you can think of. If you like ping pong, there's a channel there for it, all right? It's free. It's a little community. Sometimes you're bored sitting at the airport, talk a little Philadelphia Stars action with us. But to enter this, you go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord and go to the NFL channel for the sign-up link. And remember, as always, to let it ride. All right, we are back on the USFL Gambling Podcast. And, wow. Saturday's games, I'm not as excited to see. I mean, I want to see Breakers Stallions.
Sunday's games, rather. Oh, you're not as.
I like Sunday's lineup a little bit more.
Okay.
Even though
the first game doesn't really blow my socks off. I'm not going to lie.
First game sucks, but especially when you add in it's in a dome. You have the Battle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. It's in state at least. You know, in-state rivalry is kind of a cool angle.
But it's
only one. It is in Detroit. Yeah. This is a game that should be played home and home. But I can't wait for that to happen.
Pittsburgh Maulers at Philadelphia Stars. I mean, I don't know how many people will be at this thing. Detroit as a city as itself, I feel like is half empty.
Yeah, that's true.
Maulers Stars. Stars are laying 6.5. I'll say this. Oh, and hold on, let me read the totals. The total is 42. Maulers are plus 200. Stars are minus 240. This will be my lock of the week. I'm laying the 6.5 with the Stars, man. Stars were they proved week one. This offense will fly. The Maulers just seem to be a mess. The Stars lost last week. It was a closer game than the final score indicated, and it's a bounce back spot for them. And I also think them playing in the dome caters. Bart Andrus and the Stars love to throw the ball more than any team in this league. Them in the dome is what Andrus wants, I think. So laying the 6.5, I got no problem laying it. I got zero problems laying it. Now the total at 44 or at 42, this is a little tricky because I don't know that Pittsburgh can score. I actually think Philadelphia is gonna get in the high 20s, early 30s.
Dude, the under is the lock of the week for me. The outcome of the game is a little tougher, but I think I agree with you. I think you got to go Stars here, but 6.5. But at 42 points, Pittsburgh's not sniffing that, and it's not like Philly's offense has been dynamite either. 10 points against Michigan, and 27 points against an 0-2 Memphis team.
But
they do fly, and it's in a dome.
I think, I actually think Philly's going to get to like 31, 34.
Yeah.
The question is what will Pittsburgh get to? I mean, worst case scenario for me with Philly is like 27, 28.
Yeah.
So can Pittsburgh?
Oh, I don't know about that. I thought Pittsburgh's defense is relatively decent. Holding New Orleans to 22. Obviously, they got 38 the next week against Houston. So I thought, and I don't know if Reuben Foster got hurt by that Darius Victor hit, but if he's healthy, then he's sideline to sideline. He could be tracking those little screen passes.
The problem is, though, Pittsburgh's good for giving the defense points.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm actually going to take the over. I'm going to take the over.
No, sir. I am hard on the under.
You're ready for my projection here? I got this one. I'm going to go ahead and say this. 31-13. Stars get it done against the Maulers.
Very confident in the Stars' offensive output against a decent Pittsburgh defense.
Oh, I love this -6.5 is my favorite play of the whole week.
I agree with you just because Pittsburgh's offense is so atrocious, but I think their defense holds the Stars in the high 20s, and I think Pittsburgh is, it tops out at 14 points, and I think that even maxed out falls a little short of the 42. So I feel pretty confident that they hit the under here.
Fair. But you're with me on the Stars -6.5.
100%.
Yeah.
Lock it up.
Yeah, that game is so both the games on Sunday are on national. Wait, let me just double check that. I thought I read that. Yeah, so that's on NBC at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Then this next one's out at Fox at 1. This game's fantastic.
This is the game of the week.
Yeah, this is by far the best game of the week. We got the New Jersey Generals.
But New Orleans is 2-0 though, right?
Yeah.
So that's a game of 2 undefeateds on Saturday morning.
Yeah, but it's so early in the season. It's like, when the Buccaneers go 3-13 one year in the 90s, and you're just like, oh, they're 2-0, and then they end up going 1-13 the rest of the way. I just don't know that I can yet. So
very true. In our rankings last week, or
you had New Orleans
weekend,
4 ahead of 5th. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we had the Michigan versus New Jersey game is our 2 versus our number 3, whereas the other one is 1 versus 4 or 5, depending on where you had the breakers. So I would say, the 2 versus 3 game is a little more exciting. Should be more competitive.
For sure. And when I look at this game, I was shocked. This opened up at 3 and it came up. It's gone up. Michigan is now laying 4.5. The over-under's at 43.5. The Generals are plus 170 on the money line, which is not a bad play. Look, I'm sold on Michigan, but at the same time, I think this is a game. And I think you can also lock up Generals plus the points here. I think they're a live dog. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I'm getting more than a field goal and even more. 4 is a key number still. You remember, they kick extra points in this league. So like 20-16, you still cover. Something like that. 24-20, you still cover. 35-31, you still cover. I'm fascinated by this game because Michigan's been the surprise team of the whole USFL to me. And I was explaining to this in the office that I kind of feel like they're really legit. They're well balanced. That we know Jeff Fisher had them as a very good defensive team and a pretty good special teams a year ago.
Yeah.
Their problem, and they could run the ball a year ago, but they just couldn't pass the ball. Well, guess what they can do this year? They can pass, they can run. They have 2 capable running backs. They have a good defense and a solid special teams, and that's a pretty well-rounded team. I'm excited to watch this one. I'm curious how many Michigan Panther fans show up there. I know Jalen Rose.
Where's that being played?
Detroit.
In Detroit.
Remember, they won a championship. They're the last football team that won a championship in Detroit.
Hello.
So
I mean, beautiful. I mean,
they have more playoff wins since 1980 than the Detroit Lions. Shit, they have more playoff wins than the Detroit Lions since the merger of the AFL and NFL.
Yeah, 1956.
Unbelievable.
Who's starting? Was it Johnson out for the year? Is it Prukop or what's the?
Johnson's playing.
Johnson's playing. Okay,
Yeah,
what happened?
Both are playing. Both are playing.
Okay, so they're trading snaps. So, obviously, I think you have to say, I mean, Victor and Corbin both exactly 160 yards. Who do you think is the more dynamic back?
See, I don't know. As far as like a home run threat, Corbin. I remember last year he would bust like these 70, 80-yard touchdown runs. But Victor is consistent. It's hard to tackle him.
And he's putting up like 10 yards a carry.
Well, and if we haven't even seen Trey Williams, is he going to get the nod this week? Is he going to actually play? Because Trey Williams was a great 1-2 punch a year ago. So we haven't even seen the Generals. That's why I think you got to play the money line. Because if Williams plays, we have yet to see this offense. We've seen Eccles Looper come on. We have
Joe
seen
Walker on the other side. Those are
yeah.
119 and 111 receiving yards, respectively. I mean, their top performers are pretty much, identical, and especially when you consider Prukop and Johnson splitting time pretty much equals what Jordan or Josh Love has done. The teams look pretty darn identical right now.
So
Identical.
So what are you doing, buddy? Because I am taking the Generals. And this is my underplay. I think the under is happening here. You?
Let me take it. And then what's that number again?
Two good rushing teams. I think that under is going to hit. Two good defensive teams.
So Michigan has blown out Houston, who's not that good, 29-13, and kind of given it to Philadelphia, who is decent, 24-10. Meanwhile, the Generals have lost to Birmingham 27-10, but that's looking a little less terrible given what Birmingham did last week. And then they beat Pittsburgh 20-3, which is impressive. The 3.5 number or 4.5 number, I think that's too big too.
Yeah, it's too much. And it opened at 3. Now it's at 4.5. Get on board with the Generals.
And what's the total?
43.5.
I'm tempted to lean over on that.
But
where
they
are you
both
on that?
Milk the clock. I think they're both their strengths are running the ball, and I also believe they're pretty good defensive teams. So I think you go under.
That's tough. That's a good point, especially with the running. And then even Johnson, will run the ball. It's that clock probably will run. Still, it's not that many points. 43.5.
Yeah,
I'm taking the over. We're disagreeing a lot here, buddy.
I like it, buddy. What game do you feel best about?
Oh yeah, I'll say Pitt Philly.
Yeah, me too. Lock that thing up. Bet the hell out of that. Just so you know, folks, I'm undefeated on my locks, and I was coming off a 3-1 week last week. 3-1 week. Let's hop on over and talk
7-1 overall. 3-1 total last week. Nice.
3-1 last week, and then the week before, what did I do? I hit on Philly. I did not hit on Jersey. I think I went 2-2. So overall 5-2 or 5-3. 5-3.
Not bad. Not bad.
So let's go. Let's talk a little DFS, buddy. I'm curious what you have done in DFS. For quarterback value. So here's the thing. You could have your opportunity with quarterbacks here. Case Cookus is playing Pittsburgh, who's got a good defense. Cookus always gets extra value points because he runs. McLeod Bethel Thompson, that play makes sense because Birmingham's defense hasn't been they've given up a lot of yardage. Not points, but yardage. Alex Mago, I think, could be a decent play here, but I'll be honest. I like Josh Love at 9,400. I know I played him last week. He had a couple bad interceptions, but it wasn't his fault because the field was wet and the receivers slipped. I think he bounces back with a good enough game, and at 9,400, I think it's a value play. I think everyone's going to be on, the Birmingham New Orleans game, or perhaps Cookus. What are you doing here, buddy? And I want to take DeAndre Johnson, but he doesn't get enough snaps. Love is the only one we know, one of the only guys we know that's going to take majority of the snaps for the team.
Josh Love, 50 attempts through 2 games, so 25 attempts per game. That's pretty reliable to, generate some numbers. 389 passing yards, 66% completion percentage. Yeah, I think he's a safe bet to generate pretty good numbers. Although, if we're taking fantasy points per game, now, again, I don't know if this is taking into account last year's points per game a little bit, or the last 10, but Mago right now is sitting there at 26 fantasy points per game and only $300 more. Josh Love at 14.7.
I think you worry that Slaughter could get in that game playing his old team.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, especially if it's a blowout, if Birmingham gets up big, Slaughter gets that burn. You're right. That could be a factor. Is Skip Holtz the type of guy to take the foot off the gas pedal?
Look, in track, do you slow up, to quote Bobby Bowden? You don't. You don't slow up by the finish line. You keep going hard.
42-2 was not slowing up last week for Birmingham, but I think Skip Holtz does have a little class. You might be right. Still, Mago, they're going to throw the ball around. That's my guy.
Ooh, I like it. Running back. My top price running back, I spent up. I only did 2 running backs. I went 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, 1 wideout. So, there's that for you. I went with Darius Victor, the bowling ball.
We're pretty close in turn. I think I did the exact same thing. 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, 1 wide out.
Let's go. I mean, Darius, did you go with Darius Victor?
I went Darius Victor. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's so fun to watch. The bowling ball. Let's go. My other running back, since I know you played Darius Victor, is Reggie Corbin. I'm staying in that game. I played a lot of guys in this game. I just think, even though I know the Generals defense, since we've had the USFL back, has been good, I don't know if it's as good as it was last year. I think there might be opportunities for Corbin, who had almost 12 yards of rush last week. Home run threat. What are you doing here?
I mean, I think that's great. I mean, are those the top 2 rushers in the league right now? It's tough to argue when you take both the top 2 rushers. I think that's great. I went with more of a value pick based on the amount of money I had available. Now, this could change if we do find out that Bo Scarborough is healthy and ready to play, but Zaquandre White was pretty darn cheap. I think he was down around 5,000, and his fantasy points per game are 21.3. Yeah, 5,100 is a cost. So that's excellent, production for the price.
You got to monitor if Scarborough is playing or not, because if he's playing again, I think everyone should pivot to him.
Yeah. Hold on. If Zaquandre Wright's playing again, or
if he's starting again, I think you got to jump on that. I just was nervous. I was like, wait, is Scarborough going to be back or not? And then how many carries would they get?
Yeah, true.
So monitor that, but I really do like that play if we know Scarborough's out. My top wide receiver is a tight end, and that is, look, when I like a Sternberger, you know what I mean? My boy Jay Sternberger, fucking animal. He's an animal. I had the money actually to go with Sage Surratt.
Yeah.
But I feel like Surratt had a better game than Sternberger a week ago. And I think John Chavez is going to focus on stopping Sage Surratt, who, by the way, used to play with the Birmingham Stallions a year ago.
Ooh.
So I think give me Sternberger. Even though I have the money to go Surratt, I'm going Sternberger. What are you doing?
I love it. Let me tell you what. Why go one when you can have both? Sternberger and Surratt. My points are coming from the tight end position this week. I mean, very similar. Cost $7,000 for Sternberger at 22 points per game, 7,100 for Surratt at 22.8 points per game. So almost identical there. I like them both, and you know what? It's been consistent through 2 games that these guys are getting fed. So I think I'll bank on that happening again.
I like it. My second tight end. Since we're going in that order, I had to go cheap. I didn't have a lot of money, but I saw my boy Cole Hikutini for the Michigan Panthers last week. Did you catch out? This boy, 3 for 56 and a touchdown. He had 4 targets. He's only 3,100 right now. This is a kid that is just football through and through from San Francisco, California, Patty C.
Nice.
He played at Sacramento State, then San Francisco City College, which I didn't even know still played football. Then Louisville, where he was with Lamar Jackson and won part of a Heisman Trophy there. And then he bounced around the NFL for about 5 years, getting a few grabs in the National Football League. But he had a good.
He's a handsome son of a gun too.
He had a good game last week. 3,100. Sign me up. Let's go. So now we're even on our tight ends. So let me ask you this. Who's your wideout? I only had one wideout. You only had one wideout. What'd you go with?
Let me get that pulled back up. I went with Cam Eccles Looper.
Me too. Wow.
Nice.
We have similar lineups. That is my boy. He's undervalued still. Okay, defensively then.
I could spend a little more. I could max out and get I have $800 left, so I could go get the Panthers defense, which is costing $4,700. I have the Stallions, which is $4,000. curious on your input there.
I can get any defense I want. And you know what defense I'm playing?
What do you got?
A team that gave up 42 points a week ago.
Oh,
I'm going to the Showboats because I think the Gamblers' offense is trash. Actually, you know what?
They scored 31 last week.
No. I need to do Philly. Do Philly.
Philly's playing
Philly at 39.
Pitt.
Yeah,
That's
Philly
probably a good bet.
Yeah. I got the money. Let's go. Philadelphia Stars. I just made an altercation to that. So, Patty C, what are you doing defensively?
You know what? Let me upgrade you because Michigan is the most expensive, and it's for good reason. They're generating 16 fantasy points per game, and New Jersey hasn't exactly been lighting up the scoreboard. We'll see if that's a product of who they play, but only 20 points against Pittsburgh and only 10 points against Birmingham. I think I am going to pivot and go with Michigan.
All right. Well, I will see you at the finish line. Folks, that's our show for the week. This, we appreciate you. Well, subscribe to the USFL Gambling Podcast, please, if you can. YouTube, subscribe over there, but really subscribe on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts at. And if you can, hop on over and give us a 5-star review. We certainly appreciate it. And look, I also host the XFL Gambling Podcast. Check out that. We got the playoffs this week. I like both leagues. I tend to lean USFL, but I enjoy football. So I enjoy both. Also, I host the College Football Experience. Year round, we're talking college football. Me and Patty C, right there. All right. And I host the College Basketball Experience, the College Baseball Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast. We got you covered. All right. But yeah, Patty C, you can be heard on the College Basketball Experience, the College Football Experience, the USFL Gambling Podcast. So check out him on Twitter at PattyC831. Give him a follow. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The USFL Gambling Podcast is on Twitter at USFL Gambling. So subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Get the SGPN app for free in the App Store and Google Play Store. Get access to all of our picks. And we make USFL picks over there on the app. So check us out there. Any last-second thoughts, you can hop in the Discord, talk some USFL with us. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. All right. Well, until the next time, we're going to have a reaction show. Sunday night, I'm excited to talk. So to see, if I can go 3-1 or 4-0 again, it will be a good time. So until then, let me just find some nice music. Here we go. This is the USFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
We come from down in Gator Country. We are the pride of Tampa Bay. We play football and we're called the Bandits. And we think our brand of ball is here to stay. Bandit ball. Gotta be tough, gotta be rough. Bandit ball. Bandit ball. Right. All the way. Bandit ball. Come on, folks, let's catch the fever. Be a bandit ball believer. We believe you're gonna love bandit ball.